Welcome to Novel's Legacy. Let's try a quick experiment together. Close your eyes and picture a version of your life where absolutely everything goes your way. Imagine that every door you approach swings open effortlessly, that every single opportunity lands perfectly in your lap, and that the universe seems to be constantly working behind the scenes just to make your dreams come true. This isn't just wishful thinking, and it isn't some fairy tale. It is an absolute law of reality, and it is entirely run by your own awareness. You see, this world doesn't care about what you want. It only cares about what you honestly believe yourself to be. When you choose to carry yourself as if you are the most fortunate person alive, you are anchoring into the core truth that reality is set up to support you. This doesn't happen by accident or because you got lucky in the traditional sense, and it definitely doesn't depend on other people validating you. It happens because you have consciously chosen to inhabit the feeling of being uniquely favored. When you step into any room, you have to carry a deep, quiet knowing that something wonderful is waiting just for you, and when you hold that conviction, it will always appear. Everything you experience traces back to your internal state. A state isn't some far-off destination outside of your control. It is your private mental baseline, your energy, and your self-image. The exact second you shift this internal baseline, the physical world has no choice but to shift its patterns to match you. So, what does it truly mean to embody this way of living? It means you accept your success on the inside, long before the outside world shows you a single shred of proof. You speak from that place of fulfillment, you think from it, and you move through the world as it. You don't beg for good fortune, you become it. You might easily argue that you don't see any physical signs of change yet, or ask how you're supposed to believe in something when your current reality looks exactly the same as it always has. But that exact moment of doubt is when you have to hold your ground. A seed has to be firmly planted in the rich, invisible soil of your imagination long before it can break through the surface as a visible plant. Moving through life as the most fortunate person on earth means you place far more trust in the unseen world than the seen world. You stop letting physical appearances dictate your moods, and you become completely locked into the truth that whatever you feel deeply to be real will eventually become your physical fact. When you live with the quiet assumption that everything is always working out in your favor, a sense of deep peace takes over, especially when things seem uncertain. You will notice that people start treating you differently. It isn't because they suddenly had a change of heart, but because your inner identity has completely transformed. The world around you operates purely as a mirror. If you genuinely believe you are blessed, fortunate, and specifically chosen, then that is exactly what your life will reflect. You must learn to value your inner feelings over cold, hard facts. You must lean into your vision rather than what your physical eyes are showing you. Tap into that feeling of fortune right now, not somewhere down the road. Speak words of abundance over your daily life. Wake up every single morning and declare that everything is flowing perfectly in your favor today. Think it with the absolute certainty of someone who already knows it is true. And before you know it, life will echo that exact certainty back to you. Stop waiting for the world to change before you give yourself permission to feel it. Feel it first, and watch how quickly the evidence shows up. You become the most fortunate person in the world the very moment you choose to believe that you are. To experience a fortunate life, you have to feel like a fortunate person first. You have to capture that feeling before you get any applause, before a single sign appears, and before the physical world gives you any logical reason to believe it. This is the master key. This is the great secret buried inside human consciousness. You assume the feeling of success not because something good just happened, but specifically so that something good will happen. The inner feeling is always the cause, and the physical evidence is always the effect. Most people live backwards, waiting for their external circumstances to shift before they finally allow themselves to feel blessed. But anyone who understands the true creative power of imagination knows that the internal shift must happen first. Imagination is the true birthplace of reality. Every piece of wealth, every perfect coincidence, and every incredible miracle you see was once just an invisible thought wrapped in deep feeling. When you visualize your desires clearly and back them with unwavering emotional certainty, you are dropping a powerful seed into the subconscious mind. Just like any seed in nature, it will always grow according to its true character. If your internal state is rooted in ease, luck, and favor, your physical life will eventually have to mirror those exact qualities. But you must fully accept that inner reality as a present truth before it can solidify into form. The real test isn't about fighting with the outside world or trying to force things to happen. The real work is convincing your own inner self to accept a brand new identity. Embodying this level of good fortune means walking through your day as if you carry a brilliant hidden light inside you. It's a light that naturally pulls the right people, the most aligned opportunities, and perfect timing straight to you. This isn't about being arrogant, and it isn't a delusion. It is a calm, unbreakable confidence that everything is constantly working for your good. It is living with the conscious awareness that every single step you take is fully backed by unseen forces. Even when a situation looks like a total failure on the surface, you hold on to the deep truth that it is simply a massive blessing hiding behind a temporary mask. The universe responds to this quiet inner confidence not as a reward for good behavior, but because it is a mirror reflecting your core beliefs onto the canvas of your life. Living with this kind of fortune means you no longer let doubt run the show. You stop replaying worst-case scenarios in your mind, and you completely stop questioning whether you deserve good things. You just know, on a deep instinctual level, that reality molds itself to your beliefs, and you act accordingly. You speak with genuine appreciation for things you haven't even seen yet. You carry yourself with the grace of someone who is deeply supported by the universe. You meet every new day, not with anxiety, but with a quiet, eager anticipation of beautiful surprises. The physical world will always match your personal tone. It mimics your mood and aligns with your inner atmosphere. The genuine work is always an inside job. It demands that you maintain the feeling of being immensely lucky, even when absolutely nothing seems to be working out. It requires you to sit quietly with yourself and generate the exact feeling of success, even when your current circumstances scream the exact opposite. This isn't about being in denial, it is active creation. It is realizing that your feeling is the literal raw material from which your entire future is being built. You can close your eyes and fully step into the emotional reality of already having the answers, the perfect timing, and the best breaks. You are setting the stage for that reality to show up physically. Stop waiting for your life to give you a reason to feel amazing. Become the source of that feeling yourself, and watch how fast your life echoes it back to you. Let your imagination be your guide. Let it flood your mind with absolute certainty. Live your life as if you are completely guided, uniquely chosen, and profoundly blessed. As you stay loyal to that inner feeling, it will inevitably harden into your daily experience. The world isn't a chaotic mess of random events. It is a perfect mirror. When you assume the feeling of being incredibly fortunate, you aren't playing pretend, you are practicing true faith, and faith held long enough always becomes absolute fact. Good fortune isn't a mysterious lottery that picks a few special people while leaving everyone else out in the cold. It isn't an accident, and it isn't some random roll of the dice handed down by fate. True luck is nothing more than a state of consciousness. It is a mental atmosphere and a deliberate perspective that you can choose to step into and live from whenever you want. This is the profound truth that so many people completely miss. You are never at the mercy of luck. You are the sole creator of it. You are the one who sets it into motion within your own life. Your state of being is never set in stone. It is completely fluid, deeply dynamic, and entirely under your own direction. You can choose to live from a place of lack and limitation, or you can choose to live from a place of overwhelming abundance. You can choose a life of constant struggle, or you can choose a life of effortless grace. The choice belongs to you alone, and fortune will always follow that internal choice. These internal states are far more than just passing moods or temporary emotions. They are complete mental operating systems made up of your deepest beliefs, your core assumptions, and the feelings from which you think, act, and react to everything around you. The moment you accept a specific state, every single thing you look at gets filtered through that exact lens. When you are firmly established in a state of luck, you naturally expect wonderful outcomes. You carry an underlying certainty that things are lining up beautifully for you, even if the physical world hasn't fully caught up to the change yet. You don't need to wait for proof to show that you're right. You live your life as if the proof is already here. By doing this, you are deeply conditioning your subconscious mind to accept good fortune as your permanent partner. The tragedy is that most people let the outside world choose their state for them. The single missed opportunity, a temporary setback, or a negative comment from someone else can instantly knock them into a state of defeat, lack, or heavy self-doubt. But you were never designed to be reactive. You were created to be an active author. You are meant to pick your internal state deliberately and stay there persistently, no matter what your current physical reality looks like. This brings us to the ultimate paradox. The outer world reflects your inner state, never the other way around. If you want to change what you are experiencing on the outside, you must first change who you are being on the inside. This has nothing to do with faking a smile or forcing a toxic level of positive thinking. It is about intentionally tuning your inner awareness to the exact frequency of the life you actually want to live. Choosing your state doesn't have to be a massive struggle. It is simply an act of intention. It is a quiet, powerful decision made entirely within your own imagination. When you quietly declare to yourself that you are someone to whom blessings naturally flow, you aren't just making a wish. You are actively selecting a state of consciousness. And when that declaration is fueled by deep feeling, when it moves past a simple thought and becomes an unshakable conviction, it begins to actively sculpt your reality. You don't need anyone's permission to feel lucky. You don't need a spectacular sign, a wild coincidence, or a special alignment of stars. All you truly need is the basic willingness to step into the feeling of that fortune right now and claim it as your true identity. What follows next isn't magic. It is an absolute law of nature. You will naturally begin to notice incredible synchronicities, effortless breakthroughs, and beautiful opportunities landing in your lap out of nowhere. But make no mistake, none of it is random. Every bit of it is being pulled directly to the exact energetic frequency you are holding. Every single day gives you endless chances to shift your internal state. Fresh thought, a higher assumption, or a completely different reaction to an old, recurring problem are all perfect doorways through which you can step into a much grander experience. And when you finally lock into the state of being that feels truly aligned, your life begins to feel beautifully fluid, harmonious, and remarkably lucky. You are never stuck, and you are never a victim of random chance. The power to live an extraordinarily fortunate life lives inside you right this second. Pick your state, maintain it, pull yourself back to it gently whenever you wander off. Eventually, the physical world will have no choice but to rise up and match the reality you have chosen to embody. There is an incredible creative power in the way you speak, not just when you talk to others, but especially when you talk to yourself. Your words are never just empty sounds floating through the air. They are actual creative forces that design your inner landscape, which eventually dictates your outer life. When you speak with the absolute certainty of someone who already knows the truth, you align your awareness with completion and fulfillment. You are speaking from the reality of your desire being already done. This isn't a superficial exercise in positive thinking, and it isn't surface-level optimism. It is the highly deliberate use of your language to anchor your inner state and claim total dominion over your personal world. One who speaks from this place of knowing never begs, never wishes, and never pleads. They don't say things like, "I really hope this works out," or "Maybe things will go my way today." Instead, they boldly state, "Things are always working out beautifully for me," or "I am always in the absolute right place at the exact right time." They speak directly from the end goal, never toward it. Their words completely match the emotional tone of the wish already fulfilled, and because of that, those words take on the literal texture of physical reality. Your inner monologue, The quiet things you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening completely dictates the trajectory of your life. If you spend your day silently repeating things like, "I'm just not good enough, this will probably fail," or "nothing ever goes right for me," then you are actively reinforcing a reality of struggle and misfortune. Because the universe functions as a perfect mirror, it will simply reflect that exact negative tone right back into your daily experience. But the moment you intentionally shift that inner conversation, the moment you start affirming that you are guided, blessed, protected, and incredibly lucky, you will instantly begin to see a shift. Not just in your overall mood, but in your physical results. To speak with real knowing means you claim your true identity ahead of time. You don't wait around for physical evidence before you dare to declare it. You make the declaration first, and then you watch the evidence appear. You stop saying, "I hope I'll be successful one day," and you start saying, "Success is exactly who I am." You stop saying, "Maybe things will finally turn around," and you confidently state, "Things are turning in my favor right now." Let's be clear, these statements aren't lies, they are powerful seeds. When you speak them with deep conviction, they take deep root in the subconscious mind and begin to blossom into your actual physical reality. It is incredibly easy to speak from a place of doubt, and it is very common to mimic the language of worry and fear that you hear all around you. But real, lasting transformation only happens when you choose to operate from a much higher frequency. When your words carry the vibration of absolute certainty, they activate a completely different energy inside your body. That exact energy naturally shifts your posture, changes your decisions, elevates your expectations, and ultimately reshapes your physical world. People will naturally begin to respond to your new tone. It isn't because the world magically changed overnight, but because you completely changed the way you speak and the internal state you are speaking from. Every single time you confidently affirm that you are always in the right place at the right time, you bring your entire life into alignment with perfect timing. You become deeply sensitive to inner guidance, highly open to inspiration, and incredibly resilient whenever things seem delayed. You stop seeing setbacks as missed opportunities and start seeing them as brilliant redirections. You stop feeling like life is working against you, and you begin to recognize that the universe is orchestrating something far better than you could have ever planned on your own. The more you affirm this truth, the deeper you will feel it, and the more you feel it, the more you will naturally live it, until the shift becomes completely visible to everyone around you. Make sure your words always reflect the person you are choosing to become, never the version of yourself you are afraid of being. Fill your private inner dialogue with powerful declarations of purpose, strength, and deep peace. You don't need to shout these things to the world, and you don't need to convince a single soul outside of yourself, but you absolutely must convince yourself. Speak directly from the finish line. Speak as if the answer you were looking for has already arrived. Speak with the undeniable tone of someone who knows they are completely supported, beautifully guided, and divinely favored. When you do that, your physical world will find it absolutely impossible to resist matching your energy. There comes a distinct moment in every single life when the sheer power of making a real decision shows up as the ultimate turning point. It's a quiet, private choice that completely shifts your entire trajectory. This doesn't happen because the outer world changes instantly, but because you change completely from the inside out. A real decision is never a desperate reaction to outside circumstances. It is a powerful command issued directly from the absolute center of your being. And when it comes to becoming the most fortunate person alive, it all sparks from one single unshakable choice. I am incredibly lucky. Life fully favors me. Everything is constantly working out for my absolute good. This specific decision has absolutely nothing to do with your past experiences or how things look right now. It isn't something you have to earn, and it isn't a gift handed down by random luck, karma, or chance. It is simply chosen. And the very moment you make that choice, you step completely into a brand new state of consciousness and a totally new identity. That exact space is where all genuine transformation begins. Absolutely nothing moves in your life until you make a definitive decision. But the second you do, the moment you fully commit to the deep feeling of being blessed, guided, and favored, reality begins to instantly rearrange itself around your new self-image. Far too many people waste their lives waiting for things to change on the outside before they finally give themselves permission to feel different on the inside. They say things like, "I'll finally feel lucky once something lucky actually happens to me." But that is a complete misunderstanding of how reality is actually built. Waiting is a completely passive state, while deciding is an actively creative act. When you choose to wait, you are essentially telling the universe that you have absolutely no control over your life. But when you decide, you proudly claim total authorship over your entire experience. That single choice, when made with conscious awareness and backed by deep feeling, carries the immense weight of a command. It sends a crystal clear blueprint directly to your subconscious mind and out into the field of reality, stating, "This is exactly who I am now." Making this decision isn't about trying to bully or force the physical world to obey you. It is about stepping out into the world with a completely different energetic vibration. You naturally begin to view yourself in a whole new light. You speak differently, you walk with a different level of confidence, and you move through your day fully expecting good things, anticipating beauty, and completely prepared to receive blessings. That internal shift naturally completely alters your perception. You become incredibly aware of opportunities that were previously invisible to you. You effortlessly attract people and events that perfectly mirror your inner energy. We meet difficult challenges with powerful resilience instead of falling into defeat. Why does this happen? It happens because you have firmly decided that you are lucky, which means even your temporary challenges are forced to wrap around and serve your ultimate success. This is the great open secret of life. Your decisions alter your perception, and your perception completely alters your reality. Once you deeply identify as someone to whom beautiful things naturally happen, you begin to filter the entire world through that specific lens. An unexpected detour instantly becomes perfect divine timing. A long delay becomes massive protection from something worse. A closed door becomes an intentional redirection towards something grander. You are no longer a helpless victim of a random chaotic world. You are an active participant in a beautiful, deep orchestration that completely bows to the authority of your inner assumptions. This level of decision doesn't require you to make a loud, dramatic announcement to the world. It doesn't need applause, and it doesn't need external validation. It is a silent, immensely powerful shift that takes place strictly within the quiet chambers of your own heart. It is a moment of deep, unconditional inner agreement that says, "I am completely done aligning myself with struggle. I am no longer identifying with misfortune. I choose, here and now, to live as someone who is deeply favored by light." And when you make it a habit to return to that exact decision every single day, it begins to rapidly solidify into your physical fact. You have likely been told your entire life that things just happen to you. But the moment you fully realize that life is actually happening entirely through you, your whole world changes forever. A real decision is the ultimate doorway. It is the ignition key that turns your sleeping potential into massive, sweeping motion. Until you make that clear choice, your deepest desires are nothing more than pleasant, distant concepts. But the exact moment you choose, the moment you truly become that version of yourself, reality has no choice but to start moving. Brand new people will suddenly show up in your life. Completely unexpected blessings will arise out of nowhere, and beautiful synchronicities will increase exponentially. This doesn't happen because of one single massive event. You become the most fortunate person alive by repeatedly choosing to identify as lucky in the small, quiet, everyday moments. When you open your eyes in the morning, you make the decision again. When you run flat into a difficult challenge, you make the decision again. When a tiny bit of doubt tries to creep back into your mind, you look it in the eye and you make the decision again. That level of consistent, unshakable decision is exactly what builds a brand new identity. And that identity is what creates a completely brand new world. Most people never actually make the choice. They spend their lives waiting, hoping, and merely dabbling in the idea of change without ever fully claiming it as their own. But the rare individuals who dare to choose, even when there isn't a single piece of physical evidence to back them up, are the ones who completely rewrite the course of their destiny. Making a decision doesn't mean you have to have every single step figured out ahead of time. It simply means you have locked in your direction with absolute certainty. And once you choose that direction, everything you could ever need will naturally begin to line up to support your choice. There is absolutely zero power in being indecisive, and there is no momentum whatsoever in living your life in a state of maybe. But the exact second you declare, "I am lucky, I am chosen, and I am divinely guided," and you mean it with every single fiber of your being, something massive shifts deep within the fabric of reality. Something deep inside your consciousness begins to perfectly organize itself around that exact belief. And because your outer world is nothing more than a flawless mirror of your inner self-concept, it has no choice but to follow your lead. You don't wait around to become the luckiest person in the world. You decide that you are right now. And that single decision, that beautifully simple but incredibly profound act of total inner certainty, is the exact force that calls the physical evidence into form. Reality will always respond to absolute clarity. It follows your deep intention, and a firm decision is the purest form of intention that exists. So make that choice right now. Don't do it out of desperation or need, but with the quiet, powerful conviction of someone who knows their true power. When you do, the beautiful life that once felt so incredibly distant will begin to unfold effortlessly right at your feet.